Recently, Data Driven Hockey made a post about teams' points percentages against the best teams and the worst teams. In the comments, this Wild fan was wondering if their second best points percentage against the best teams would translate to playoff success, with the idea that wins against better opponents are more meaningful. I won't spend too much time with the boring stuff, but here's how I set up the sample. One key point is I did decide to simplify the experiment to look at first round winners only. This is because regular season stats are more meaningful in the first round than any other future round. And I figured for the Wild specifically, they should focus on getting out of the first round before getting too excited about anything else. And once I organized all the data, here's how I set up the logistic regression model. The predictor variable is a team's points percentage against other playoff teams, and the response variable is whether that team won or lost in the first round. Now for the results. 62.4% of teams that had a better points percentage against playoff teams compared to their first round opponent won the series, with odds increasing as the difference between the two teams increased. However, Wild fans can't cheer just yet because there's a few issues with this test. Firstly, this variable simply isn't statistically significant. This was a result I expected before I started, because hockey and sports in general are too complex of a topic to be able to predict outcomes with just one variable. The results do point in the right direction of what we would expect, but the impact of this variable alone is pretty weak. The second issue is that there are confounding variables. Teams that have a higher points percentage against playoff teams are also likely to have a higher points percentage in general, which in turn means a higher likelihood to have home ice advantage. In fact, in this sample, 79% of the teams with a higher points percentage against playoff teams had home ice advantage. Since home ice advantage has a real impact on games, there's a good chance it was helping out the points percentage stat even though it's not part of the model. Now in general, a variable that's not useful on its own doesn't mean it can't still be used in a multivariable model. However, there still is one key issue with the nature of this variable, and that's that it more so summarizes results as opposed to describing how teams achieve certain outcomes. Teams win games for specific reasons, whether that's strong defensive play, strong goaltending, dominant possession stats, etc. All of these stats tell a story about a team and help us predict future outcomes, whereas wins and points percentage stats simply capture their results, and don't provide information about the core of the team or how they got there. To conclude, there is a vague indication that teams with a better points percentage against playoff teams compared to their first round opponent have a positive correlation with winning the series. However, there are far too many external factors that make this a variable that shouldn't be taken too seriously.